we are live. So, look, I'd like to introduce Michael Hudson, who is the CEO of Mawson Gold Limited. Michael is here to give us an update on what the company is doing, not only in his backyard in Australia, but also in Finland. And look, I've got a couple of things that I want to say from a disclosure perspective, and then I'm going to let Michael take over. So, first of all, from the company's perspective, you can see the company's disclosures on their website. And also on page 2 of their presentation. For Red Cloud Securities, I would like to highlight that this webinar is for information purposes only and should not be considered a solicitation to purchase or sell securities or a recommendation to buy or sell securities. And we note that this does not take into account the particular situation or needs of individual investors. At Red Cloud, we encourage investors to do their own research, to make their own investment decisions. And with that, Michael, I'll turn it over to you. And we look forward to this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrew, and thank you to Red Cloud for hosting Mawson Gold today. I'm at the death knell of the day in Canada, but I'm bright and fresh here in Melbourne this morning at 20 to 8 in the morning. So look forward to going through this. You mentioned the disclaimer there, Andrew, and the only thing I can add to that is that I'm a geologist and therefore an optimist, and I certainly will be making forward-looking statements. So in summary, Mawson is a TSX-listed company. We're gold-focused. We've got a flagship up in Finland, and we're exploring other projects here in Australia. The key thing is that we funded very well back in May. So we got something like $16 million in the bank. We've got 9 drill rigs turning this year on 4 projects, 2 of which we're fully funding and 2 of which other people are funding with us having interest. So lots of activity. The only way to make discoveries in this business is to drill, and we're doing that in spades. So we're really executing on the capital that was raised. We're fully funded and fully permitted, and we've got a variety of projects which I'll talk about, from resource-based projects that we've made from first principle discoveries through to earlier stage exploration. So that nice triangle, if you like, of risk management in exploration that you really need. So here's the key slide, and the projects, a snapshot of them. I'll go through each of them a little more in detail after this. But in Finland, this is what we call our flagship project. We put something like 60 kilometres of drilling into this project over the last 3 years. It was a little outcrop in a swamp right on the Arctic Circle up there that we've now built out to something like 700,000 ounces gold equivalent. A very good grade project that will get a lot bigger. This is a multi-million ounce field in the making. We've got 1 rig turning there as we speak, and another 4 rigs, or 5 in total, will start when winter conditions that freeze all that wet, soggy ground up there in December. So getting close to that program starting. That will be through from December to April. 20 kilometres planned there. So a resource expansion with a very good start. In Victoria, arguably the hottest ground in the world in many respects, thanks to Fosterville, which is one of the top tier gold mines in the world. It wasn't until very recently known to be that, and they made some fantastic discoveries. Victoria is one of the key orogenic gold producers in the world, 80 million ounces. But the irony is that nobody's really looked in this area for 120 years. It was pre-World War I that really the last great push in exploration here, and now we're producing actually more gold since that period in the last 2 or 3 years. So production's up, and as a consequence, and great discoveries have been made, and as a consequence, the opportunity in Victoria. And we've got some of the key gold fields. There's 2 very different orogenic types of gold that exist in Victoria. The second, or the Fosterville style that we're looking for, we've got 3 of those 8 key gold fields, the historic ones. So we're starting with the known and looking beyond. So that's a very exciting project. The last two I won't speak too much about here, but up in Mount Isa, we've got a huge land package, about 60 kilometres of strike, a long strike from one of the world's largest silver mines called Cannington. And we've got a fully funded drill program that's going on there. One big drill hole testing a big gravity combined mag anomaly undercover. The Mount Isa block has produced 5 to 10% of the world's base metals and silver, and it's extremely well endowed. Excuse me, but it's never really been explored undercover. I think the closest holes to where we're drilling are plus 10 kilometres. I think we've got two holes in our block of ground that large. So undercover, big swing of the dice, but the government of Queensland have been very generous in fully funding that drill hole. And then in the Western USA, we've got a partnership with the largest landholder in the US. In the US, of course, the landholders hold the mineral rights for the most part. So this is a big land position down there, again, 150,000 hectares. We're not spending a buck there now, so we've got the partnership with the owner. We've done some work there, made a discovery, an epithermal discovery, and now a third-party company has come in called Agala American Gold, who are going to free carry us 20% to production if they find something, but they're putting all the money in there. So that's the focus. We'll talk about Finland and Victoria now more so. There's nothing like a bull market for gold to reward exploration opportunity, and that's what we can see has happened to Mawson. We've funded well, a lot of money in the bank to execute fully permitted key criteria, and we've done the hard yards literally over the last few years to get ourselves into this position. So in my view, you back companies with top quartile projects that are making discoveries in a bull market, and that's generally how I've done well in this business over the long term, and how we've tried to set Mawson up. For institutionally held, corporately held, insiders still got very much skin in the game. So the big players have lined up here, and that's also another recognition, I think, of what we're trying to achieve in Mawson. So just getting on now, I see time's clicking away, as it always does. Discoveries about leadership is the name of the slide. A group of people from environmentalists, capital market people, and ore discoverers. I think that's a key point. Geologists who want to make discovery. So we've been together for quite a while. That's very important, I think, in a COVID world where we've given a lot more autonomy to the Finnish team. We're not expats out of Australia aren't going to manage Finland for many years to come, and we're very fortunate. We've got a very skilled team that have worked that project up over the last number of years, and then we're based here in Australia. So a COVID, if this is the term that can be used, friendly structure in terms of being able to work in a COVID safe way going forward. Finland, we've talked about. We've got something like 500,000 ounces of open pittable resources, or 70% of those that resource base there was in open pit. It's a very good grade, as you can see, 2.5 grams in that 700,000 ounces. Lots of ways to skin the cat here. Lots more discovery. It was just a snapshot in time. Free milling gold, which is really important. So the gold comes out quite easily. We're doing a lot of work on the metallurgy, but it's certainly free milling. And we're on a runway here with a good resource base. We aim to get over 1 million ounces here, and then start thinking about how we should treat this property. Obviously, it's going to become a lot bigger, but now the economics of the project are becoming apparent, and really that's only over the last month or so that those with a forward-looking eye can see that there is actually a project to be built here. So permitting's a key point from that perspective, and if we can start those exercises earlier on, it will shortcut us in the coming years. Here's the open pittable resources, 2 kilometres, a lot of detail here, but is the scale at the top here. But a lot of the brown rectangles or polygons are the EM plates. They line up very well with the known gold, and we've got many of those still to test. Everything's open, a long strike, down dip, and it's very hard to show, but a lot more drilling is needed is the simple point. So it's going to get a lot bigger. If we just look at the same view, those green blobs there, the resource wireframes are what we were just looking at. The purple is the host horizon. This is a stratabound hosted, structurally controlled deposit, orogenic gold deposit. And this is looking at a different scale. This is looking at something like 5 by 4 kilometres around those resources. And the purple areas are our host horizon targets. We've tested about 5% of that host horizon on this slide, and bigger. We've got actually a 10 by 10 kilometre area where we're finding gold. So 95% essentially of the host horizon is left to explore. We're exploring at the moment in those two blue rectangles, I should say, Hervimar and East Yoki, looking for extensions in summer permitted areas for the extensions of gold. Those little pie charts are the gold in base of till drilling. We've done something like 1,700 drill holes over this slide on a 100-metre grid, and then followed up in detail if we got a hit. That's reflective of the glacial till that has basically masked or covered this whole area with thin 3 to 5 metre tills, and very, 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 very little outcrop, less than 1%. So geophysics, I mentioned briefly. We've got the tool of using the electromagnetics to light up the mineralisation, and then we've got a very strong idea now on the lithological controls and the lithogeochemical controls, and then we've just got to find where those structures intersect that lithology. So there's a good recipe here, and that is reflective of the last year's drilling. We added about 300,000 ounces at about $10 an ounce. So we hope that can continue, but it's reflective of really understanding the controls, the structural controls on gold, which is a real key when you get to a project like this. So mentioned that the gold is very much easy to obtain through either flotation or gravity and cyanidation. So that's a work in progress. The cobalt is in separable minerals. It adds about 10% of the value, but is a very important commodity because it makes us a strategic project in Europe, having that byproduct of cobalt or potential byproduct. So there's a lot of effort and time going into trying to create a cobalt product. So the minerals are separable, and it looks like we'll get some of those with gravity and the cobalt minerals, and the majority through flotation and or mag separation. So that's the finished part. As we head up to my time with Victoria, we did a multi-project deal. We took 10% of a listed company here as well, which gave us a first right of refusal over a very large land package. So we've got 3 projects now, 471 square kilometres in our own right or in joint venture. And as I mentioned before, we've got these historic gold fields. So Victoria is old but new again. Once again, I'm rushing through here, but you can see the amount of gold that was produced in the 1800s, up to 3 million ounces a year came out of Victoria. It rivaled or exceeded in some years the Californian boom, 80 million ounces. But the style that the old-timers looked for was a very different style called mesozonal style. The new style that Fosterville is epizonal. It wasn't as attractive to the old-timers because metallurgically it was a little more challenging. It wasn't raisins of gold in quartz, basically, that they could stamp out. And until recently, this epizonal style was a refractory, 5-gram underground style that Fosterville was. So it wasn't that attractive, but now they found these free gold in these quartz veins that are exceedingly crazy grades, and now we know the epizonal styles can form these exceedingly high grades. It's not a surprise if we all whip back into the 1880s. There were old timers mining these uber high grade epizonal deposits, and that they're the only parts of the systems they could mine because it was free gold. So they have been known in the past, but it was forgotten essentially. So here's a quick map of where we are. I'm sitting down there in the southern part of the slide in Melbourne today. The blue are our ELs, or exploration licenses. We've got Sunday Creek 100%, Redcastle, which is the direct strike extensions, 4 or 5 kilometres north of Costerfield, which is a 1 million ounce system in itself, another one of these epizonal systems. There's Fosterville out to the left, and then we've just done a deal in the last week on that Rue JV, which is a large area, 20,000 hectare area there alone, and it contains the Rue field. So that's really what we're doing. I won't go into the details about Rue. Here's Redcastle. Lots of gold came out of here. The key point here is 17 kilometres of veins, never a drill hole under them. This is something like 4 by 3 kilometres. Look at the 28,000 ounces at over 100 grams were taken out on that Welcome group on the left-hand side. Sunday Creek, another project. So the 3 there that I've just talked about, we're drilling here now. We put our first results out the other day. It was something like 15 metres at 3.8 grams from surface, unmined parts of this system that the old timers never focused on. So you can still walk up and drill gold at nearly 4 grams from surface. And here's the last slide. Here's our plan. Those 9 drill rigs on 4 projects, focusing with Finland and Australia essentially, and then the bonus of other 2 projects being fully funded by either the government or a partner in the US. So lots happening. Expect news flow consistently out of both countries, and as we work up these resources and make new discoveries. Thank you very much.
All right, that was good and very succinct. Thanks very much, Michael. I guess the first question I have is if we go and look at Finland and we look at startup in December, kind of ramping up the drills through December into January, when do you expect to see the first set of results coming to a point where you can release them?
Yeah, so in Finland, we've got 1 rig already drilling now, Andrew. So first results will come in from Finland in the next couple of weeks, actually. But your question related to the bigger program, it should be it's winter dependent, as you said. It will be late December, early January, just when the freeze comes. It was a very late freeze last year. So it really depends on winter, but I suspect late January, early February is the simple answer to that larger program.
All right, and the drill that's turning right now, can you tell us what it's focused on?
Yeah, so it's focused, if I can zip back, if this is the correct thing to do, it's focused on summer permitted areas that are on this slide here. So it's in Hirvimaa and East Joki where we're drilling. So there's something like, if you look at the scale there, Hirvimaa is something like 4 kilometres long and East Joki is about 3. So there's 7 kilometres of strike immediately along strike, if you like, up from 500 metres beyond, testing these areas in summer permitted areas. So you can see at the bottom of the slide where the resource areas are essentially in winter drilling areas. There's a biodiversity program in the EU that is that green line, and so we're only permitted for winter drilling in those areas, and they're very wet also. So literally, you'd be helicoptering rigs in from only a kilometre away, but we need that freeze to make the super highways. Whereas outside, these are forestry areas at East Joki and Hirvimaa, and a little drier, and we're able to drill there.
And then when you look at the recent acquisition in the Victorian goldfields, Rue, and you look at the project landscape that you've got there, I mean, what are you most excited about from what you've assembled thus far in Victoria? Where do you think the best potential is?
Yeah, and I gave Victoria a bit of short shrift there in the absence of time. So thanks for that question. Yeah, and I'm excited about the opportunity overall, and the truth is, I put a lot of projects together, these Epizonal projects, back in 2001-2 with my business partner in the day, and we vended to a company then, and we thought we were superheroes as younger geologists. And the truth is we were 17 years too early, so that nobody had seen the opportunity. Race forward now, and we're back. Victoria was a tough place to explore for many years. It's become a lot easier. The government's certainly supportive of it. Regional Victoria is generally supportive of it. So it's become easier, and I think we've become better at exploring as an industry. We're not just assuming we're in the middle of the desert and being able to drill and just come in and do things. We've got to work with the local communities and the like. And we've certainly learnt that very well up in Finland, and we're applying those same skills here in Victoria. So Victoria is much more explorable now. And then obviously Fosterville's created that opportunity. And then I'm excited about the fact that, for example, in Redcastle, as I mentioned, 17 kilometres of exceedingly high grades mined by old timers, 17 kilometres combined, that had not one drill hole until a few weeks under these systems. Now, in exploration, we know that it's not as easy as just walking up and drilling an old mine and finding something generally. So caveat emptor, but there's been a lot of gold taken out at Redcastle, for example, and not one drill hole. There's 200 drill holes, or just a little bit more than 200 drill holes on the property, but they average 38 metres. And remembering the old timers stopped at the water table, which is something like 60 metres vertical. Sunday Creek is looks geologically very similar to what Fosterville looks like, and we're just starting to see the first core come out of that. It's an analogue for one of those systems, so I'm excited about that opportunity too. I'm excited about understanding the structural controls on these systems that nobody's ever looked at too, rather than just drilling alone. So Sunday Creek and Redcastle we've done a little bit more work on, and we're drilling. So by nature, I suppose I'm very anticipating what we're going to find there. Roo is a big area, and I was only up there yesterday, and we're literally there's a lot of gold at surface that really has never been understood. There was only some 400 metres of RC drilling in the 80s done there, and pretty much each hole hit some sort of gold. We got a 9-kilometre trend there, let alone the much bigger area. So that's not an answer that you were after, but I think we've just got to stand back and look at these projects. And when we get onto one of them, we obviously need to focus. But at this stage, it's an abundance of riches, and we'll put 5,000 metres in this year and step back and say, okay, well, which one of these projects do we really want to now focus on and start building out volume, tonnes, and grade on? I think is the key question.
It's absolutely amazing that you can step back into a major gold field, global gold field that hasn't been explored for virtually 100 years, and employ new modern day exploration techniques, and it's an exciting opportunity, and you've got a tiger by the tail.
Yeah, that's better put than I could have said. I agree wholeheartedly.
We look forward to seeing what comes out of it. But I do agree with you. If you're going to be an exploration or a discovery phased company, it's all about getting those drills out there and drilling and making sure those dollars get into the ground efficiently.
Yeah, that's the key point. Absolutely efficiently. So we're not drilling blind, but we're doing the obvious stuff now, drilling in and around the known workings, but the real upside opportunity is all this geophysics and putting these projects into some sort of structural context. And so we're running, we've got 3 different geophysical teams running at the moment, 2 contractors running mag, ground mag, detailed microgravity, and what's working very well for us is IP-induced polarization and gradient to map at sort of superficial levels, and then looking at depth with dipole 3D arrays. So there's going to be a lot of data on the table. And one other key point is that there's a lot of very skilled people here in the state, a lot of people who flew in and out around the world or around Australia, and now we've been able to put together a pretty skilled team of people who in lockdown have been very keen to get back into their backyard, like me.
Sounds fantastic. Look, Michael, thank you very much for the opportunity to present today. From a Red Cloud perspective, we look forward to seeing we look forward to seeing the results as they come out.
Thanks, Andrew. Much appreciated.